Does this look like a car a Hollywood tough guy would own? No.
Hollywood tough guys own Bullets and Bandits, Eleanors and General Lees, and anything Vin Diesel drives in the Fast and Furious franchise. Not bright yellow 1904 Wintons. You better hold on to your popcorn. We're about to flip the script. A world of wonder, where fantastical music machines provide the soundtrack for a tantalizing stroll through history. Vintage automobiles and memorabilia stimulate the senses around every chromed curve and corner. This is Inside Stahls. Like several cars in the Stahls collection, this bright yellow beauty has a Hollywood story to tell. But before we get there, a little history lesson. Alexander Winton and his Winton Motor Carriage Company is largely credited with creating the automobile business in the United States. He built his first motorized vehicle in 1896, and in 1897 was credited with selling the first automobile in the United States. In 1899, in an effort to drum up publicity for his creation, Winton took a reporter from the Cleveland Plain dealer on a trip in the car, all the way from Cleveland to New York City. At the time, this was like landing a man on the moon. In today's terms, the story went viral, and from that trip, the word automobile was born. Prior to that, people used words like autobahn and motorcycle to describe these radical new modes of transportation. By 1903, automobiles were rolling out of Winton's facility and across the country. In 1903, Winton became the first automobile to make a successful cross-country trip. So how do we get from there to Hollywood? Like a lot of things in Hollywood, this car was a special effect. The 1904 Winton Flyer didn't actually exist. It was strictly built as a movie prop for the 1969 film The Reivers, starring the late, great Steve McQueen. In addition to being one of the biggest stars in Hollywood in the 1960s and 70s, McQueen was an avid motorcycle and car racer. The story goes he asked his friend, legendary pinstriper and California custom car builder Von Dutch, to create the Winton. But there was a catch. He had to build it with the strength and reliability of a modern car. Von Dutch, aka Kenny Howard, was up to the challenge and combined his skill and creativity to build a car that looked and performed just like a shaky 1904 touring car. The trick was it had to be built to withstand the rigors of the dirt roads and muddy bogs McQueen dragged it through during the course of the film. This car is also going to star in the yet-to-be-released film Driving Mr. Mickey. The Winton didn't only perform its own stunts, it also had to look good for the several close-ups it had in the film. Von Dutch had to enhance every detail, even creating the sheet brass-turned radiator logo. The paintwork and pinstriping was quintessential Von Dutch and ultimately helped give the car the character that McQueen said made it the real star of the picture. In the film, the car appears in nearly every scene. It was such a prominent character that in some markets the movie was titled Yellow Winton Flyer. Just like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie during the filming of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, don't see it, McQueen fell in love with his co-star and kept the car in his personal collection until he died in 1980. 4 years after his death, the car was sold at auction, along with the rest of his cars and motorcycles from his personal collection. In 2018, the car was taken back to Carrollton, Mississippi, where much of the movie was filmed for the 50th anniversary of the feature. The reunion allowed Mitch Vogel, who played 13-year-old Lucius in the film, to get reacquainted with his former co-star. I know what you're thinking. What about McQueen and Bullet, the famous chase scene through the streets of San Francisco, and that iconic 1968 green Ford Mustang Fastback? That was the car that made McQueen famous, or maybe it was the other way around. Well, despite his best attempts, McQueen never actually owned that car. And besides, that's a story we'll save until Bullet becomes a part of the Stahls collection. For now, as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.
Really? 215 take.
What?